Welcome to INN's Advocate. INN's Advocate is a platform for lawyers having less than 5 years of practice. Today we have with us Advocate Priyanka Kotwani. She is going to deliver a lecture on recent developments in the Domestic Violence Act. So without wasting further time, I would request Advocate Priyanka to commence with her lecture. Thank you.
Hello everyone. So let's see about the Domestic Violence Act. Now, say for example, we've seen the movie called as Darling. Now, what happens in the movie Darling is that the wife is being tortured and physically abused by the husband. It's a recent movie by Miss Alia Bhatt. So now what was the protection or the alternative remedy? What she could have done instead of taking a very extent measure, she initially approached the police. Now this scenario is because she knew that she had a right to approach the police officer. Now DV Act, the commonly called as Domestic Violence Act, came into existence from 2006 and it was brought in 2005. Why? Because living peacefully is a human right. You cannot be tortured, you cannot take violence with or any sort of harm towards anybody. Now violence could be of four types, which could be physical, which is the most common and the acknowledged and the visible kind of violence, but it could be abuse in the form of verbal, economic and sexual abuse. Economic is when a person is not given maintenance to sustain her life, or with regards to children, children are not given maintenance. Why? I require to sustain my life. A person requires to sustain the life. But if we are not giving money, if they are not being allowed to go to work, how will a person live a life? That is why it is commonly called as economic abuse. Secondly, would be the verbal, taunting you with different wordings or calling you with different names. That is not perfect. It is not a good thing. It could amount to a verbal abuse because it is affecting you mentally. A person to work properly has to be a proper mental and a physical aspect. He should be healthy physically and mentally. But if you are torturing them by saying words which are hurting them or which are having an adverse effect upon them, how will a person sustain? How will a person live a happy life? So all these amount to violence. Now this act is commencing from 2005, so which means the people who suffered violence before 2005 do not have a right. No, even they can file a complaint. So they file a complaint and they will explain about all the instances which have made them under what can be considered as violence, or due to which they have suffered a lot. Now the Domestic Violence Act comes into existence when there is a domestic relationship, which comes when you get married. As soon as a person gets married, they create various domestic relationships, daughter-in-law or sister-in-law and etc., mother-in-law for sometimes. So if a Domestic Violence Act is coming into existence, it was initially Domestic Violence Act protection for women. It is focused only for the protection of women as of now. However, in the recent developments, it has been seen that even women have been misusing their powers and the rights assigned to them. So let's see how it goes. So if a woman is being taking atrocities or has been suffering violence, she will file an application under section 12. Once an application under section 12 is filed, protection can be seek protection in the form she will request that let not the violence doing person not enter the house, or if she was staying in a shared household, let that house, she would be allowed to stay in the household, but she will seek protection from no violence. There will be an officer whom she will tell all the atrocities. Secondly, what if she goes to the court and there is a interim maintenance? There is the whole court proceedings will take time. What about the time being? Should she take the atrocities? No. She can seek for interim maintenance by filing an application under section 23 of the Act. She will seek for the same. The interim maintenance could also be for the compensation for the mental torture taken by her in the initial period, a small amount. Then further the case will go on. Now this is a brief. Now let's see what if instead, or in the movie Darling, the wife, the mother-in-law was tortured, can she take a remedy under the Domestic Violence Act? Yes, because it's not only the wife who is getting tortured, sometimes it is role reversal, which is that the daughter-in-laws, commonly called as Bahu, is torturing the mother-in-law. So even the mother-in-law can file a case because even she is a woman. It's for the protection of women. An aggrieved person here is called a woman of irrespective of the nature of relationship she has. Second question that comes to our mind is whether a case could be filed if the parties are staying separately. Yes, even in that case, a case can be filed because they had a relationship prior. There was a relationship built and there were atrocities. So that is the reason a case can be filed. What if the husband has to ask for a domestic violence case? Can a husband seek a domestic violence case? It's a questionable part. But however, considering the fact that not everybody is honest and considering the fact that both the parties may suffer atrocities, in recent developments we have seen the court penalizing the women for filing false domestic violence cases. Now, third question. The most controversial topic in the last few years was live-in relationships. Can a partner in the live-in relationship seek remedy or protection under the Domestic Violence Act? If you see, yes. However, the concept of live-in relationship is that you should show to the court that there was a relationship which was called as you were staying as husband and wife. There was similar to a marital. Since the live-in relationship has got its recognition and similar to a husband and wife, that is the reason protection to women who are living under live-in relationship is also sought. However, you have to prove that at the time of the relationship, both the individuals were not married to any other person, because in that case, the husband's wife will have again a case. Hence, in live-in relationships, it has been observed that you have to stay as husband and wife and you should not have any prior spouses currently living with either of them. So, the key takeaways which we can see is that Domestic Violence Act is for wives. It is for women. It is for the protection of women. In the recent developments, we see that it is not only protecting the women, but it has also started taking a stance for the men, because it was nil before. It was always a common connotation that the protection is only for women. All the laws are favorable for women. No, now it's getting gender neutralized. It's coming to an extent that we can say that even though the protection for men has not been given as of now, however, it is brought out in several judgments that the women will also be penalized if you are filing false cases against your husband or any member. So, women have to take a genuine case. To prove a genuine case, the best example for proving a genuine case would be when you have a physical violence. Please report it instantly, which makes it very easier for you to prove your case in the court. So, therefore, the key takeaways in this lecture we could take is that domestic violence is applicable to the mother-in-law, which was not previously said, but now in recent developments we've seen even the mother-in-law is filing the cases against daughter-in-law. That live-in relationship partners, the women in the live-in relationship may seek for domestic violence protection, and even men, even though they are not protected, will have some remedy in the form of compensation by the court for the women filing false DV cases. That's all for today's class.
Priyanka, thank you very much. Though it was very short, but it was very informative. And I think the stance which you had said that even men will now get benefit of that. So that will be the key point of this particular lecture for lot of husbands who are getting trouble because of the false DV cases. So thank you very much for that. And this is a small token from us to you.
Thank you.